Hey everybody, this is Joe. Thank you for watching my Giga Texas construction update video.
Well, welcome to January 2nd, 2023, the year of the Cybertruck. And there's a lot of very interesting and exciting things that are going to be happening here at Giga Texas this year. And I can't wait to see what all of those are. Now, one of the most anticipated things is the arrival and assembly of the larger 9,000-ton Giga Press. So this morning, as you can see here, we spent some time looking into the casting machine structure, trying to see what the state of assembly and arrival of parts are. And to be honest, not a whole lot has changed in the last couple of weeks since I last looked in. Except it looks like more materials are being stockpiled in the middle part of the west bay of the casting machine structure. So something to definitely look into. So some other things that I'm looking forward to is with the new year, I'm expecting to see both variants of the Model Y start being built here again. That would be the 2170s that have the steel floors and they don't have the front casting. And also sometime in this year we should start seeing the 4680 variants that don't have a floor because they use the structural pack and they have the front casting. And we've seen a lot of work with various different kinds of castings and tests over the last month or so. So I think that coupled with what we've seen with the 4680s being stockpiled here and with the message from Tesla late last year about the ramp of the 4680s, I think it's pretty likely we're going to see that. Now, a couple of other things construction-wise that I'm looking forward to is here, as you can see, the west foundation of the battery cathode plant is really starting to take shape, and they've moved more of the steel around where the footings on the north end at least have been completed. So we should start seeing some vertical construction here, and I can't wait to see what this building looks like. Another area is here, the electrical switch yard, and they will continue to be installing more of the steel, finishing up the cable trays and getting this site operational. And then maybe shortly after that, we'll start seeing the installation of the mega pack. So I'm really looking forward to that. On the south end, as you can see here, a lot of progress with that reconfiguration work of that south lot with all the removal of the concrete, the changing of all of the underground stormwater pipes, and a lot of other work, including some of the electrical system down there that is being reconfigured as well. All of this is being done for a stated purpose, and for that purpose, I would recommend you take a look at this video tomorrow. So it's a bit of a premiere. This is a deep dive, standalone video on what is going on the south end. So I'll tell you in that video what's going on. It's very exciting, and I'm looking forward to your comments on that. And finally, across the highway on that southwest side, that west support facility where you can see here they're continuing to do the grade work and reclaiming the old ponds and the hills from the sand and gravel mine. Also, as you can see here on that same side, the warehouse on wheels expansion. I'm really looking forward to seeing what they're going to do over there as well. But a lot more to see this coming year. Last year was an outstanding year, and I hope that you took an opportunity to look here at my 1 year in review for 2022 that came out on the 1st of January. So a lot of action, a lot of information, a lot to see. So without further ado, let's get into the video and see what Giga Texas looks like in 2023. As always, thank you very much for watching. I hope you had a very happy new year, and I will see you around.
A special thank you to all of my outstanding Patreons for your continued encouragement and support. Patreon members get access to hundreds of high-resolution photos, previews of the future material, and direct dialogue with me. If you would like to support my channel, please consider becoming a patron using this link, which is also in the video description. Please also consider hitting the like and subscribe buttons, as this helps as well. Thank you. My drones are ready and raring to go. Let's go flying over Giga Texas. Well, Happy New Year, everybody, and I figured what better way to start a new year than to begin by looking inside the casting machine structure, and we'll see what activity is going on. What you see here on the far wall are the 4 current 6,000-ton Giga Presses that are operational, And in the foreground, you can see quite a bit more castings have been made. Also, a bunch of crates, some yellow robotic machinery, and a bunch of other components as well. And also, if you look carefully, you can see some red and white wrapped items on the bottom of the screen here as well. And those are definitely interesting to see because they may be related to the 9,000 ton Giga Press. I can't say for sure, but you can also see that very large white item as well. So it's possible, but you can definitely see that the amount of castings is just growing exponentially. In the middle of the building here, you can see quite a bit of the parts for that 9,000 ton Giga Press. These are those large platens that are the main part of the machine that makes the castings themselves. Those are those gray items that you can see in multiple different places. And then as we continue here, you can see some of these iron pipes. Looks like more work on those are underway. They've been putting them up underneath the bottom of the ceiling. And then in the distance, right in the middle, you can see quite a bit more of those red and white parts. Those are also part of the 9,000 ton Giga Press. Now in the foreground, these black and white items are DMG Mori milling machines, but in the crates are some other machines that have to do with either arc welding or other kinds of welding devices, and those will be installed at some point in the near future, and I'll do a in-depth on what those are later on. But as we wrap around the corner, you can get an idea right in the middle of the building and in amongst all of the columns, the components that they've been setting aside and putting out ready for hopefully assembly of this larger Giga Press soon, sometime early this year. As we continue to move along the windows, you can start seeing the foundations where the Giga Presses will be installed, and you'll probably be able to see a little bit better of all of those red and white materials in the middle of the building that I've been referring to. Looks like a lot of man lifts are currently being stored right here where I would expect to see the Giga Presses installed, and I'm going to pull away to make sure that I avoid this obstacle of this light that you can see right in the middle of the screen, and then I'll come back in a little bit for a closer look inside here in the middle of the bay, and you'll be able to see much better all of those materials that are being stored and accumulated for that assembly right in the middle of the building. You can also see the Tesla labeled red bridge cranes that will be instrumental in the assembly of that Giga Press as well. And then this finally is the bay that's right next to the paint shop. You can kind of see what's going on in here today. So I'm going to pull back and we'll take a look at the north end of the building. They have a lot of the doors shut, and the upper doors are partially shut, so it's really hard to see inside there. But you can continue to see the red and green wrapped HVAC ducting, and also some of these blue wrapped containers as well. And inside that one, you can see some red components being assembled. Here at the 4680, through the two doors on the top of the platforms, you can kind of get a little bit of a view inside. But otherwise, that's the activity on the north end of the building and how Giga Texas looked on this 2 January 2023, the first day of flying for me at Giga Texas this year. We've moved a little bit farther north. At the bottom of the screen you can see where the mega packs will eventually be installed, but I thought I would start off with this part of the video to show you how the electrical switchyard looks today. You can see 6 of the eventual 7 A-frames installed, those V kind of topped circuit breakers on the ground, a lot more of the steel assembly, the power pole segments on the bottom of the screen that eventually will be installed, and they will look a lot like the very tall steel poles that we are flying over right about now. And you can see those on the right hand side of the screen. And then overall, this is how the electrical switchyard installation appears on the 2nd of January, the first day of flying. You can also see a deer is very excited and is out inspecting the electrical switchyard as well. He was on the bottom of the screen if you missed him. But not a lot of work on here today. In fact, it's a federal holiday, so it's a good day just to kind of get stock of how Giga Texas looks now, and then we'll be able to track the changes from this point on. But here's a good view of those cable trays, the trenches that you can see on the center part of the screen, and then that trench that goes next to that steel control building. You can also see the A-frames, and there will be one more A-frame installed in the near future to bring the total to 7. And this is how that control room appears today. The cable tray trenches will continue further to the south a little bit more, and then 2 more of the fingers will head off to the west for the final connections. And hopefully we'll see the transformers installed soon on those concrete pads. As I pull back, you can see the temporary switchyard on the left. That is what is powering Giga Texas at the moment. And also you can see some steel materials right to the south of that temporary switchyard, and it includes some of the poles for that 7th A-frame. So let's reposition over towards the battery cathode plant and take a look at what is going on over there today. So one of the things that you will notice is more and more of the steel materials are being delivered. Some are stored here on the south end, and also there'll be more being stored in and amongst the footings on the north end of this foundation. As you can see, are all filled in with dirt. Now the excavator is continuing to work on some of those trenches in between the heavily reinforced piers. And you can see more of the footings being prepared for installation in the trenches on either side of those piers. As I mentioned, they've been filling in the north end of the foundation with some of that gravel and dirt, and you can see the bulldozer on the left-hand side doing that. And that is great to see, because not only does that mean that the footings are pretty much completed and ready for steel, but also you can see that they're now moving the steel parts here, which means that we may soon start seeing some vertical construction on this building. As I pull back a little bit more, you can see how much more of the steel components are being arranged here right north of the cathode plant's west foundation, and some more work going on with looks like gravel arriving and some other preparation work. So this is a really great sign that I expect to see vertical construction beginning within the next week or 2, which is outstanding. Here's a closer view of the excavation work that they're doing in between these reinforced steel and concrete piers, and also another view of the steel on the south end next to this crane. So I'm going to move the drone around so you can see how this south end appears. You can see the warehouse on wheels in the distance, and some of the trailers, and also a lot of these iron pipes, the concrete vaults, and more materials stockpiled next to the wall of the battery cathode plant. And also, as I pull back, you can see how on the east side of this foundation, the footings are continuing to be constructed as well. Now on the south end, you can see those white pipes sticking up with the red fence around. That will indicate the south end of this particular building. And I think I'll take the opportunity here to come back up to show you the work that's going on with the pipe installation on this steel structure. And you'll be able to see quite a bit more pipes have been installed, some sticking out of the top, some now reaching from the concrete up to the steel structure, and then some more being suspended underneath as well. So we should see a lot of progress on this particular installation very soon in the coming week or two here in the new year. As we continue farther to the north, you can see this blue water pipe with a lot of the water in that trench. That's because we've been having some rain. In fact, it started raining here just after I finished filming today. Also, the water table is pretty high, so they're going to have to do some work to figure out how to get the water out and then continue that pipe installation. But this is a good view of the west side from the north looking to the south and how the north part of the building appears. I'm going to pull away a little bit towards the northeast so you can see even more of the steel here. And what it looks like to me is that some new steel has arrived and some of the older darker gray has been moved over to that west foundation that we were just talking about. So a lot of changes up in this part of the site. You can see this ground that has been added, and they're continuing to level out this grade, probably for some more construction. And I'll give you a quick look inside this part of the building. This is where those deep foundations, and you can kind of see the outlines in the left opening, and also a lot more interior fit out of the walls and some of the air handling ducts. You can also see the material staging location here is growing with that clearing location, and still some more of those platform components in that area as well. But here's a good view looking from the southeast to the northwest of how the battery cathode plant looked today. So let's get ready to fly across the middle of the east section to see how this new parking lot, temporary one of the north part of the warehouse on wheels looks like. The warehouse on wheels is filled with trailers, and right now it looks like these trailers have production materials, and then when they are unloaded inside the factory, they move the empty ones over on the west side of the highway in that warehouse on wheels expansion. Here's a view you won't see very often. The new car staging and transportation lot is essentially completely empty. I talked to some employees today, and they said that production ended right at the end of the year. It is not going on today, and almost all of the inventory, with the exception of what you see here and a few on the south end, has been moved off-site. So a big end-of-year push is evident here at Giga Texas, with the fact that there's almost no Model Ys to be seen. The supercharger installation is looking like they are preparing to put the electrical conduit for the power, and this is where this is starting. You can see the red color material. That is to indicate that this is electrical conduit, and it looks like they're getting ready to extend the trench across the road over towards those superchargers. And this is a good view that you can see how this is in relation to where the superchargers are located. So let's climb up and take a look at some more of the work that's going on at the side of the building. And you'll see that on the right hand side of the screen, more casting, so they're growing even farther to the south. You can see this dirt area where they're reconfiguring the apron with the new receiving doors, and in these two areas the same thing, new receiving doors, and they're working on these aprons. And it looks like a little bit more plumbing on the one on the right. The one on the left is almost ready for the rebar and then the concrete. So we should see all of these done, and then by the end of January, I would expect. Here's a quick view of the body in white roof, HVAC ducting, and the opening, and with some of the great material that they're using to finish out this section, and a little bit of a view down inside as well. So let's get ready to take a look at the west side of General Assembly as we fly across the roof. As we're drop down, you'll see the new receiving doors on the left with those green load levelers. That is what they're going to be doing in this section here where you see the dirt. They've removed all of the asphalt. They're reconfiguring this for concrete. And you can see those temporary panels in the walls. Those will be removed so we have more receiving doors here as well. Now what the crew are doing is they're putting out some of the forms and staking out for the rebar. You can see that at the bottom of the screen. That'll be installed so that they can begin concrete. We probably will see that by the end of the week, which is pretty cool. So let's proceed down towards the west main entrance and take a look at the changes now. The exterior where all of the dirt is shows that not only has the concrete been removed, but all of the saw cut panels have been removed as well. Some of the old steel corrugated pipe has been removed, as well as some of the manifolds. And then right inside the doors, there's also some reconfiguration going on as well. As I turn the drone back towards the west, I want to show you some of the changes here in this landscaping section and some very interesting things going on. First, you'll see these 6 concrete segments. It looks like they may be testing out different colors of concrete. And also there's this white obelisk kind of sitting on this pallet. I don't know what this is. If you have an idea, please let me know. But I'll bring the drone up and kind of turn around and give you a different angle of it so you can see its shape. I don't know if this is just part of these test panels, maybe for selecting of how that obelisk and those colors appear, or if it's something else. But I'll bring the drone down again and you'll get a chance to see this from a different angle. Very interesting. So the main entrance, I'll give you another view from this diagonal of how this is coming along. I'm really curious what this will be when they are finished. And hopefully now that we're into the new year, we'll see this work continuing very quickly and we'll start getting some other clues. So let's head down to the south end and take a look at what's going on down there. So this is a good angle to see all of the changes that are going on here at the south end. This is a major new construction project, and as I mentioned at the intro, I have a video coming out tomorrow which will be in-depth and we'll go into that quite a bit more and hopefully that'll answer most of your questions. But as we go across the cyber pond, I'll show you the materials that are being stockpiled here. There hasn't been a whole lot of change out of the materials in the last couple of weeks, but it's all in preparation for this major construction project that's going to go on. You can also see some of the solar panels in those white crates next to the blue and white cranes. Here is where the electrical utility trucks are located. Those are the ones that will be installing the cables under the underground conduit, and they're removing all of these short power lines and these green utility boxes soon, and that's all necessary to support the construction that is going on here. And like I said, the video that I'll have out tomorrow will go into excruciating detail about what exactly they're doing here. But needless to say, right now they are in the process of clearing out the underground pipes and electrical conduits and anything else that is necessary to be removed for a new construction project to begin. And as we continue over on the west side, you can see one thing here, the underground corrugated pipe. You can see it looks like it's a little bit of an angle. That's because they're going to be doing a connection here to remove an old section of the pipe that goes through the middle of this construction zone. Again, we'll talk about that in my video tomorrow in depth. But I'll fly here to show you that almost all of the concrete has been removed. And then you can see this pipe kind of sticking out of the ground. That's part of what will be removed to finish up the reconfiguration work here so that construction can begin. Good view here, almost all except for just a couple of segments of the concrete remain to be removed from this section. What the crews are doing here is they're making final preparations for the pipe that they've replaced with the concrete pipe segments. You can see that sticking out of the ground. There's a couple of the segments right there. And you can also see that they're preparing for some of this blue water pipe for future installation. A lot of gravel has been delivered here, and we'll kind of follow the bulldozer over to where it is bringing that material. In fact, it's going to be going into this trench, and this trench is part of the moving and reconfiguration of the underground water management pipes. In fact, the crews are working on a small one here. I think this is going to eventually go off to the pond that you see on the right-hand side of the screen for further drainage. This is a good close-in view of some of the components here for the stamping presses. Now, some people have asked if this blue wrapped items might be a Giga Press. I do not think so, but it's hard to tell with the wrappings that are on there. So that'll wrap up my 2 January New Year video, kind of give you a good idea of how Giga Texas looked on this day. A lot of progress and a lot to see coming up in the new year. As always, thank you very much for watching. I do very much appreciate your support. Happy New Year.